Welcome back to another episode of Oxygen Not Included, everybody. I've been expanding out on the Gorgani asteroid to go through the whole map. I've decided that in the future what I'm going to do is turn this into a metal processing facility because we have multiple geysers around that are... I'm going to use the trick to see what they are here. This one is an iron volcano. There's also a gold and a cobalt volcano around the map. And so I'm going to turn this into a refined metal facility so that we can get refined metal here. We'll produce it, and then we'll ship it off to the main colony, any excesses that we make. It'll help with the temperatures here, too, because this is a very cold asteroid. But I'm not going to work on that today. One problem I did have here is that I'm running really low on polluted water. The two sources that I have are providing a decent amount, but just not enough to keep up with the crops I'm trying to do. But I do want to keep growing a large amount of crops. So I thought maybe I could ship some water over from the main colony, but I'm shipping petroleum over. So instead, what I did is I just stabled the automation on this petroleum generator. So we're going to have some extra carbon dioxide to deal with, which will be fine. But we'll also get an additional 750 grams of polluted water per second, because this will run constantly. We have plenty of petroleum to ship over. So now this is building up on polluted water here, and once it gets full, this will start pumping it out. And between that and this geyser, we should get a decent amount. This is producing 7.4 kilograms a second, but only for a third of the time. So 2 kilograms a second. So we'll be up to 3 kilograms a second while this one's active. This one goes dormant in 15 cycles, but then 9 cycles later, this one picks up and lasts for 82 cycles. And so that means 100 cycles from now, that one will be going off. And by then, this one goes dormant in 15 and lasts for 68. So in 83. So like shortly after that, this one will be coming back on. So we'll have small periods where we have no cool slush geyser running, but there will also be long periods where both of them will be running. So hopefully we'll be able to get our tanks stored up. But the issue we're having right now is that this is almost completely out, and so this tepidizer actually counts as not liquid, and so we are not providing any polluted water to our crops, or at least any heated polluted water. So it's starting to cool everything down. But once we get this filled back up, that should fix everything. I have a backlog of 750,000 food calories to get us through, so I think we should be fine. Today we're going to focus on our main colony. I want to do a few things around this base to get prepared, because I want to set up for doing rockets. So we're gonna clear out the top section of this map, get some hydrogen collection going to get this hydrogen out of the top of the map, and just build an area up here where we can get started on space exploration. So I'm going to get a few things set up, and we'll come back once I have construction queued up, and we'll get sunk into it. Just putting the final touches on it here, but we have built an airlock that goes to space so that we can start building a seal across the top of the map. We'll get rid of all of the regolith that has formed up here, and we're going to build a ladder up to the very top so we can build a series of bunker doors and controls to stop any meteors from falling. The last thing we're doing here is waiting to get the gas pump online so we can pull the gas out of here. That way there's a temperature seal between the asteroid and space. So the liquid locks will keep any air from moving into here, and then no gases will be able to pass. Since there's no gas, no heat will be able to transfer. We actually are doing it so that we can keep the cold out, because space is very, very cold. While we were doing that, I did some more tinkering around with the polluted water boiler system. I had actually forgot to turn this off while I was creating this lock, and so oil had spilled down into here and gotten into our system, so I had to fix that. It was kind of a pain, but I just pumped it out, and now everything's back up and running, and we have a vacuum seal here and here so that the heat from the preheat pond and the heat from the actual water boiler does not get out into the mat. And you can see it's kind of hard to tell because it's still very, very hot, but this area all around it used to be in the 90s to 100 degrees, and now it's dropping down. Eventually that will all cool down. I'm pretty sure that's the last major source of heat in the map, so things will slowly start to dissipate. I can't think of anything else that would be causing any major heat other than like the power transformers around in spots, but they're not super big. You know, we're keeping the petroleum cool. Magma tank is sealed up. We have a few spots where we have some really cold spots because regolith fell down. I gotta actually make sure. Think about it to make sure that these do not let regolith get picked up. Because if we get regolith put into these, it will freeze that water up and it'll cause some serious problems. Some of the regolith is super cold, so we don't want to deal with that. It'll heat back up as we dig it out, but once we are done building this section here, we'll be working on getting some basics set up in the space section of our base, and we're going to have to figure out how we want to handle getting rid of the extra regolith once we have the miners to break it up when we get hit with asteroids. So I probably will set up a shug hole farm, which will provide us with even more calories, but that's fine. So yeah, it's just going to take a little while longer to get all this cleared out, and then we're going to set up some pumps. I'm going to do the same kind of automation on the pumps as I have down on this pump, where it just continues to pump until it sees oxygen for a certain amount of time. This should actually be a little bit higher. I had it set lower to keep everything moving. And then that'll keep the pumps, once it starts seeing oxygen, the pumps will go off, but then when other gases build up, it'll pump. So it'll just be the same thing, but on this end, we're mostly going to be pumping hydrogen out into storage just to get rid of it. So this is just all the hydrogen that was released when we built the collectors, and when we were just releasing pockets of it into the base. It just all floated to the top and built up. So we'll just get it all collected together, get it all cleared out, and we'll get all the regolith cleared out too. So next time we come back, we should have a roof on the base built, and we'll be ready to start expanding out. Just noticed a problem that I thought I had changed a long time ago, and I guess I had not. But the automation for these petroleum generators is supposed to be set up so that the bottom 4 run when we are out of power, and the top 4 only kick on when we have an excess of petroleum. I had all 8 running when we were low on power, which meant that we had a bunch of waste of petroleum going on, because it would very quickly fill the batteries up, and then we waste a lot of electricity. Now it's set up correctly, so these 4 will be enough to power on the base. But the problem is that we burned through a lot of our petroleum. We are now struggling just to keep up with it. So I am working on getting that taken care of. This line to the top one will back up, And so then these tanks will start to back up. This row of tanks goes off to the second colony. This row of tanks goes to the power production for this colony. So this will eventually back up, which means that these will have more feeding into them, and that will help us get our supplies built back up. I noticed it because I was going to put a level of petroleum in the bottom of this contraption that I'm trying to make some tweaks to while I'm waiting on the base building to get done. And I didn't have any petroleum that I could bring down because our tank was completely dried. So I have some steam issues, apparently. Keep having water fill in there. Put in a tile here so I can get rid of that water. But so yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. The automation can sometimes be tricky if you forget to change something and you can get caught up. I am, however, burning through the excess carbon dioxide. We're down into the 90s now, so we may at some point need to run a pipe from our carbon dioxide storage back up there to release some of this that I have stored up for our slicksters to keep things going. But frankly, we can scale down our slicksters population a little bit too. We have this many slicksters specifically to get rid of the carbon dioxide. So if we start to get rid of some and we get rid of our backlog as well, then we'll just cut the population down a little bit and find that balance. This is all still just trucking away. We're slowly digging away through everything. It's going to take a bit of time. I haven't gotten any of the gas stuff hooked up yet because I'm waiting for this all to get cleared out so the gases can settle, and then I can decide where I want to put everything. So we'll come back once that's all done. While we were waiting for our roof to get built, we had a major problem with our boiler. Bit of an explosion. I fixed it, and I'm going to show you how we did that and what the problem was. Looks like it just kicked back on, which is excellent. So this hydro sensor didn't used to be here. So what happened was this area filled up with polluted water, and then salt water started to get dumped in. The salt water has a lower boiling point. Has a lower boiling point than the polluted water. So the polluted water was staying over here on this side, and the one tile of salt water was constantly being changed to salt, and steam, which was fine, except that during a couple of ticks, the polluted water got pushed up to the top, and it created a little air pocket here, and the polluted water had nowhere else to go. So it was as the steam built up, it filled this area with polluted water all the way to the top. So we had like a little two-pocket air bubble here, and the steam just continued to build up. Because the steam was on top of this hydro sensor, it was saying that the amount of pressure there is 0. How do we not have water coming back in? I got to reconnect. But so this hydro sensor was sending a green signal because the pressure was at 0, even though this chamber was full of liquid. So this should be. Make sure this is working real quick. Yep, it's sending green. Why are we not getting liquid here? It's getting a red signal because it needs a. This is sending green. There we go. Okay, so this pocket was sending a red or green signal because it was below 800, because it had 0, because it was steam there, which was keeping the fluid from flowing back in, which meant that this could continue to pump out liquid, which was automatically being pushed over to the side because of the gas pressure here, and this was building up with polluted water. Once that finished filling up with polluted water, this continued to just turn salt water into steam, and that steam pressure built up. So once the steam pressure hit 1,000 kilograms, it pressed this liquid even tighter because it was trying to take up 2 tiles, and so this overpressurized fluid was then pressing out, and it caused this tile here to break, which made all the water flood down in, and then the whole system stopped working. So to fix it, we put a second hydrosensor over here. This hydrosensor also has to send the signal that the fluid here is below 800. So if the fluid here or here gets over 800 kilograms, it shuts off this vent so no more liquid can come in, which should make it impossible for this to overpressurize, because getting an air pocket to block both of these hydrosensors is not possible. We'll keep an eye on it and see how it does in the future. While we were fixing that, we also noticed that when the water supply here shut off, we had no water coming out to go towards our toilets up here. So then we had people making a mess all over the colony. So what we ended up doing to fix that was that we put in this pump that's always running, and so no matter what, this is pumping out fluids. So I'm going to be changing up this piping to make it so that this will stop if there's already fluid coming through. But for now, there will never be a time where we run out of water going to our toilets unless we completely run out of water in our water tank, which shouldn't happen, at least not for a very, very long time, especially with the water coming in. Hopefully that fix also works, but we'll keep an eye on it too. But it's kind of how things work with systems in Oxygen Not Included. They work for so long that you think, well, that's working, I'm not going to need to make any changes to it, and then all of a sudden a disaster happens. So it's always best to put in a backup for your system just in case you need it. But sometimes you need a backup for your backup for your backup. So we are still working on the roof up here. While that's going on, we're making some real progress. We got half of it done. We're going to clear out the rest of this area and then work on our expansion. So I'll be back in a few more minutes. I'm dealing with a bit of a mystery. I keep having water form right here. I'm going to mop it up and I sweep it out. I get rid of it, and then it comes back. There's no steam above here to condensate. There's no water above here. There is some water that was over here that I mopped up now, but it was salt water and polluted water. So the only way it could have gotten over here is if it turned to steam and then made its way over here and then cooled off to turn into water. And it's possible that happened because it is really cold in here, because this loop is cooling this whole area down a lot. But it's not hot enough over here for that liquid to turn to steam. So I'm just not sure how it keeps happening. So steam has to be getting up there somehow, and drives me crazy. So yeah, I just had ice form there. Is the polluted water forming ice when it goes into this pipe because the pipe is too cold? Is that what's going on? I'm so confused by it. So polluted water has a freezing point of -20. So that shouldn't be the issue because it's not -20 here. But so that's definitely what's happening. Somehow this ice is forming. somehow this ice is forming, and then when that ice melts, it turns to water, which sits right there. But what's turning to ice? There's no water in here, there's no steam in here. I'm gonna try changing these pipes to insulated pipes on this wall. See if that has an effect. It's the only thing to do. So I don't need that much cooling in here. I don't have any petroleum building up in here anyway, so we're just overcooling for no reason. So we'll try that, see what happens. It's just a mystery and it's baffling me. Anyway, we are now working at this from this side and getting this roof built. It's kind of slow going because I have to kind of babysit it because regolith is like sand where it falls, and so duplicants will dig in and then they'll dig a block behind them and it'll trap them, and then I have to go and get them saved so that they don't die, which, you know, is annoying. But we're running out of time for this episode, so I'm going to let this keep working in between episodes, and we'll get this finished. And when we start the next episode, we will build a gas collection, and we will build our ladder and start our expansion on top. That'll be the focus of the next episode. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.